morning. Welcome back with the MQL Suite Morning Market Report. Margin traded investment carries considerable economic risks, and whoever carries it out under his or her sole responsibility. Therefore, the author of this teaching session assumes no responsibility for any direct or indirect damages in relation to investment decisions taken by the listener. Today is Monday, 10th June. The stock markets are rising this morning. The climate is more relaxed after Washington has suspended the application of duties on Mexican goods, which should have come into force today. President Trump announced it on Friday, following Mexico's commitment to contain the immigration flow to the United States. The return of risk appetite is also linked to the positive outcome of the meeting of the G20 finance ministers held this weekend in Fukuoka, Japan. In the joint statement released yesterday afternoon, the commitment to protect commercial relations emerges. The meeting was an opportunity for China and the United States to reopen negotiations. Today, China has published data on trade trends. Last month, exports increased 1.1% year-on-year, while imports fell 8.5%. The data surprised the consensus, which expected a 3.8% reduction on an annual basis, both in exports and imports. Meanwhile, China's trade surplus with the United States rose to $26.89 billion in May, from just over $21 billion in April. The major trade imbalance between the two countries was the main reason that led Donald Trump to apply duties on Chinese products. Many analysts, until recently, thought that China would be the most affected by the ongoing trade war, after data from recent months showed a slowdown in its economy, but the latest U.S. employment figures put the two countries on an equal footing. In light of the most recent data, both economies have much to gain from an agreement, although politically it is becoming increasingly difficult to reach it. In Japan, first quarter GDP figures have been revised upwards. The annualized rate, in fact, was revised to 2.2% from the estimated 2.1%. The economy is growing at a slightly faster pace than previously estimated, thanks to higher capital expenditure, but analysts argue that global trade tensions remain a brake on growth and increase the risks for the country's prospects, whose economy depends largely on export. The Bank of Japan could be under pressure to accelerate the already impressive incentive program due to fears of a global recession. BOE Governor Haruhiko Kuroda said the rates could be kept extremely low for at least another year in order to support the economy. The government for now remains firm on the decision to increase sales taxes by 8% in October, except for a major economic shock. Brent oil trades at $63.3 a barrel this morning, continuing the rally that began last week. The appreciation is supported by the unexpected contraction of exploration activity in the United States, which has fallen to its lowest level in the last 15 months. Furthermore, it appears that Saudi Arabia has managed to convince Russia to extend production cuts until the end of the year. Today, a meeting should be held between the energy ministers of the two countries. It's 10:30. The percentage analysis clearly shows the return of risk appetite, with precious metals depreciating and many indices that resume the long-term uptrend. The Australian index is gaining 1%, the Dow Jones is gaining 0.22%, the Nasdaq is gaining 0.19%, the S&P is gaining 0.20%, the FTSE 100 is gaining 0.38%, the Euro Stoxx 50 is gaining 1%, the Dutch index is gaining 0.44%, the Swiss index is gaining 0.60%, CAC is gaining 0.25%, the DAX is gaining 0.74%, and finally IBEX is earning 0.24%. In the forex market, the Australian dollar is weakening, with AUD CAD that is losing 0.48%, while AUD CHF is losing 0.23%. CAD CHF, on the other hand, is earning 0.30%. Euro and pound are mixed, with GBP CAD that is losing 0.34%, and finally NZD CAD is losing 0.62%. The Canadian dollar is the strongest currency this morning, with a 2.58% gain on the basket. Also, the American dollar is very strong, with a 2.40% gain on the basket. On the contrary, the weakest currency this morning is the New Zealand dollar that is losing 2.70% on the basket. The best performance is recorded by now by CAD yen that is earning 0.45%, while the worst performance is recorded by NZD USD and NZD CAD, both are losing 0.65%. That's all for the moment. If you liked our analysis, please leave a like one. Also, I invite you to register on our channel to stay up to date. Have a nice trading!